What's up, everyone? It's Eric Vessels with Taktiful. Welcome back to yet another episode of Taktiful Tuesdays. This is episode 27. No, I'm really apologize, first of all, to all of my wide viewership for not having an episode last week. Thought we would get one in the bag before we went to Amplify. It got way too busy. Couldn't do one live. How has it taken me 27 episodes to interview the one and only Kevin Abergel, CEO of Taktiful? Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, my friend. 27 episodes. I got to tell you, you are an absolute master. I've been watching your every single one of your podcasts on what they think that you've been releasing and all the other channels that are carrying it. I got to tell you how proud I am, man. You're really finding a nice space here, and it's a lot of fun. I love watching these things, so I'm really excited to be on.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. I keep, as I was thinking of like, who do I need to interview? Because I've got like later today, or tomorrow, I've got two scheduled to record. And
Right.
then the next week, two more. Like I've got all these coming, but I had this little bit of a gap. And I'm like, why in the world has Kevin not been on the show yet? It seems so ridiculous. Like you should have been episode one. I have no idea why it took 27 episodes. But so I'm just telling you and everyone else that this is the first time I've not done show notes. So I'm flying completely blind here. I figured we could just hit record and go. We seem to have a little bit of a skill with playing jazz together. So that's what we're doing. Tell me a little bit off the jump. A lot of people know the story. Many people who have been in audiences where we've done presentations have heard the story. But for those who haven't, give us a little bit of a context because you are one of those people that like run deep in like you have roots in the printing industry. So talk to us a little bit about that family history and kind of how you came to do what you're doing today and getting my crazy ass involved.
Oh, you want to hear that story? You sure you want to hear that story?
Of course, everyone wants to know, right?
Well, the funny thing is, I have like a deep family legacy that goes actually back 4 generations. And what's funny, it's actually on both sides of the family. My dad's side, I think most people think, oh, okay, your family started
Yeah.
MGI. Yeah, okay, we get it. They don't realize that like my grandfather was like an offset pressman. And on my mom's side, they don't realize that my great grandfather was a printer in Paris, actually has the patent for one of the first ever pneumatic feeding mechanisms for a printing press. And back then, a feeder was like a dude. Feeder wasn't like a piece of a component on a printing press. It was a dude who sat on this metal bench. His job was to take sheets off this pile and stick them by hand in the machines. And so, my great grandfather, and I have black and white photos that I'll share with you, of, like him showing his invention off at like the first trade shows, like back in the day around printing. And so it's kind of funny to think about, that whole history of, back in the 1910s and things all the way to today. We're still at trade shows, we're still setting up booths, we're still talking to printers, we're still having those same conversations that my great grandfather had, and obviously that I was able to hone in and perfect during my time with my uncles and my dad at MGI, which I got to tell you, it's being in a family company, and I think a lot of printers come from family companies. I think that's kind of something that kind of runs deep. It's never easy. People think, oh, you were the boss's kid, or man, if you knew my family, it's like they were like 5, 6 times harder on me than anybody else. And I think people who work with me realize that. And so it's been a really great experience, and they got me super sharp, and now I'm out here doing my own thing, and I'm taking a lot of those lessons with me at Taktiful, where we're really trying to build this market up. And I think all of our partners, and Eric, you were at Amplify, man, like all of our partners are kind of like rallying around this. Let's make embellishment like the next big thing together. And for me, working with you to basically be able to bring people together in such a way that now we all understand, okay, they might be competing in the field, but hey guys, let's put all that to the side and let's build this thing together. Let's drive it forward. I think for me that's been one of the most rewarding things of working at Taktiful and working with you, that we've been able to set up.
So before working with me, I want to get into a little bit of your entrepreneurial journey. Like what, because you obviously could have just sort of waded into the corporate world and in whatever roles, right? Because you have a deep experience in building dealer networks. You could have probably worked for almost anyone that's in the industry. What made you go out on this entrepreneurial journey? Because speaking from great experience, it's not easy.
Well, first off, Looking back, I had no idea how hard it was going to be. So in my head, I go, okay, I know this stuff. I could build this company. I'm pretty sure I have a good idea, and I figured it out. And it was funny. Like I think those of us who have gone through this journey, you've done it with what they think. You're doing that with us at Tactiful. You set up your plan. You go, guys, this is what we're going to do this year. This is the idea. This is what's going to happen. And especially when you're a startup, all of a sudden you start going into the year, and all of a sudden these new opportunities are opening up, and the other opportunities are closing, and the field is not a field; it's a swimming pool. It's super fluid, it's shifting from one side to the other. And those who are comfortable tap dancing and being able to pivot very quickly are the ones who survive. And I think that's really what's kind of allowing us to move forward. And hopefully we keep making a lot of these good pivots in the future. Yeah, like you said, to come back to your point, I had the opportunity to go work for maybe another major OEM. I had the opportunity to get outside the print industry, but I said to myself, now's the time to do it. I had just turned, I think, not even 40. I was like, you know what? Now, if I'm going to build a company and try this entrepreneurial thing, I think now is the time to do it. I had put a little bit aside. I had a little bit of capital to build this thing, and now it's starting to blossom, and it's literally like having a third kid, Eric. I got to tell you, like, this company is like my third child.
Several third kids.
Several, it actually takes up more time than my kids do, and I think my kids will let you know that. But they're the biggest fans in the world of Tactiful. I asked my 4-year-old what he wanted to do when he grew up. He was like, Tactiful. It's like, okay. So they believe in the vision. Luckily, my wife is there to support this whole thing on my side, where she's given me all the support I need to focus on Tactiful. But yeah, the entrepreneurial journey is, you have to be psychotic to be an entrepreneur
You
today.
got to be a little bit off in the head, 100%.
Yeah, you
But a
have.
lot of I think most creatives are a little bit off in the head.
Right.
But you got to have a lot of balance too. But coming back to something that you said, I remember people talking to me about like 3 to 5 year plans, and I would just laugh. I would be like, 3 years from now, I have no idea what this is going to look like 3 years from now. Like what? Like what have you? Like how is that kind of your approach? Is just sort of? It sounds like you're just that pivot approach of like, oh, over
So
here. So talk to me about a good way to frame that. I think is like, did you ever expect Tactful to look like what it does today, and why does it look like what it does today? And talk to me maybe a little bit about folks that don't know, kind of like the whole 3 pillar approach and kind of how we're attacking the market and how did that come about?
so a lot to unpack in there. So where do I start? So first off, did I expect Tactiful to look how it looks today? I had an idea, Eric, and I think that came across in our branding and how we approach the market. I think I didn't want to be like everybody else, where sometimes in our industry there's a little bit of stuffiness in terms of how people are communicating, and people take their brands very, very serious. And you know me, I like to have fun. I like to be playful, and I wanted that to come across in our brand, that we're a company that does fun stuff. Because at the end of the day, what is embellishment but fun print? It's sexy print. It's something that's totally different. So I wouldn't go as far as saying that I'm sexy, but I'm saying that the brand is a fun brand, and I think that's very in line with the messaging that we're trying to bring home around this obsession that we have on really cool print. Because I think you could draw the parallels out really, really easy. What was the other question that you asked?
I will say this. I forgot. I will say this. The first thing, I mean, I showed up at a trade show. I knew you. We met when you were still at MGI. We had kind of a common personal story in our life that we won't go into that, but we had made a connection on that, and we kind of like knew of each other and were aware of each other. But it wasn't until I showed up at that trade show, and I forget what show it is, but you had just like a 10 by 10 booth. And I remember seeing the thumbprint logo for the first time, and I was just like, what is that? Like, what is Taktiful? Like, okay, that's a cool play on words, but like, what's going on, right? And you were all about talking about haptics, and you were doing a lot of consulting. You had partnered with a lot of folks that I knew already. So I would say home run on creating the brand and the awareness and kind of being playful with that.
Right.
What I've experienced since then is like, we're so playful that we make like different versions called tactical, or we make, tattoos that we just had on folks at Amplify. And
That's
and I
funny.
will say, like, we were approached at Amplify by many people who told us, "You guys are the fun guys in the industry. Like you're the fun group, right?" And
Right.
everybody hung out. Some people came back to our Airbnb and had some fun. And we do things a little bit differently. So I mean, if that was like your vision of something to create, like you did it, man. You're there.
It's you have to stand out, right, in today's market. And for a little startup like us that's what, 2 years old, to be able to create the kind of noise we're creating and to be able to partner with the quality of partners that we've been able to partner with, I think it's just a testament that you can't always just copy what everybody else is doing. Being different, being okay with trying new things. Eric, what is the one lesson that you brought to us even before you joined, Taktiful as our CXO? You always told me this thing that worked out what they think is you have to not be afraid to go fast and break things and iterate. And if you look at a lot of the ways that we market, a lot of the ways that we go to market, that we talk about things, that we're always testing new ways to market, new messaging, new brand. We're constantly experimenting, and we're experimenting live, and that makes part of the fun. So whenever you see something coming from us, just know that we're typically trying new things every single day. And I think that's a lesson that I got directly from you at What They Think, where you were kind of innovating on that side and were able to give us a lot of those lessons as a friend before you even joined on ways to stand out in the industry.
Absolutely. And another one of them that I think we do really well at Tactful, and I think people would agree, is just you have to create content, and you have to be willing to give away content. You have to be willing to help. There's like this there's this adage of help 4 times before you make any kind of an ask. And I think we do that, in a lot of our training.
You taught me that too. You taught me those two things, Eric. You said number one, you have to give, 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 and then give some more. And then when you're all done giving, then you can ask, and then you've earned the right to ask. And I think
Yep.
you see a lot of the webinars that we do, a lot of the study that we do, we're always trying to give back to the industry, and that's allowed us to build up a certain level of connection with the industry. So that's number one. And regarding content, I love this. You always tell us two things. If content is king, consistency is queen. That's another. This should be in your book, man. Are you
You
writing this
should, you
book
should
yet, or what?
You should. I'm writing like 4 books at once, which is typical Eric behavior, which means I won't finish any of them. I'm in therapy. It's like we're working on it or whatever. But you can't mention the consistency thing the week after I didn't get an episode out the
Well, I
previous
can
week.
because you opened up by apologizing to everybody who was expecting to get a Tactful Tuesday last week who didn't get one, and your first thing that you said was I apologize. So I mean, it's in your brain, and you feel like you let down your viewers. I'm sure
Oh,
they
I felt so
understand.
bad. I
Right.
felt
I'm sure your viewers understand that we had a big trade show and we're all traveling last week, but the whole idea being, that you were cognizant of it, and the first thing you did was apologize for it. So I think
yeah.
we're gonna let you pass on this one.
All right, I appreciate you. Hopefully, everybody else will as well. Mea culpa, apologies. I've made many. I mean, like fail small and fail fast. That's
Right.
the idea.
It's
And you
not a fail.
you can't be scared to make mistakes and try new things and venture out and do stuff. I'm most proud when I see people who you can tell they're out of their comfort zone, but man, they're going for it. Whether they're participating on a panel that's out of their comfort zone, or whether moderating a panel that's out of their comfort zone, or just doing anything, it makes me. I want to talk a little bit. We just launched some new software, right? So Tactful Software Solutions at its core evolved out of your haptic consulting, because essentially the story isn't, and I'll let you tell it, not to kind of tell your own story, but you found some gaps in the industry and then sort of partnered up with Carlo, our CTO, and some other folks to start to develop actual software tools that would solve that. And we've officially launched out of beta the first of those, called Taktify. Talk to me about the software approach and what each of those tools do and why we're working so hard to develop them and bring them to market.
So, great question. So, for those of you who don't know, kind of a lot of people say, I see you guys everywhere, but I don't understand what you do. Let me just kind of clarify the three things that we do. And we only do three things. First thing we do is that, as Eric, as the leader of the tactical division, if you are buying a digital embellishment press or have bought one and it's not working for you, or you can't get the sales on it, or you're having technical issues, marketing issues, estimating issues, whatever, Eric has put together a roster, and with him, we've put together a really impressive 8-week boot camp where we can actually teach you and your team every week for 8 weeks how to be successful with that. Whether it's selling it, marketing it, pricing it, producing it, everything is covered in these 8 weeks. and that is the customer training standpoint. So we do that with inkjet, with fifth and sixth color toner, all that stuff. Anything that's specialty, we have a training division that does that, and that's actually starting to really pop there, Eric. I mean, it's
It really is.
we're gonna need some more people here soon.
Yeah,
So
it's I mean,
scalability is going to be something we're going to have to deal with here soon.
it has me having those good nerves, right? Those game
Yeah,
day nerves. It's like, oh shit, how am I going to pull that off? But I think,
champagne problems we call them, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Problems that you want to have.
right,
But I think the approach to what we're doing at Tactical,
right.
part of Tactful Software Solutions, is it's all different. Every single boot camp is different
For sure.
based on the client, based on what they need, and it's really a force multiplier for some of the OEMs that we're working with. Because when they place a machine in the field, we can come in and take them through an 8-week success camp.
Right. Right. So that's really going well. And I think our customers are really, and we're getting close to our customers.
It's going well because we're having fun.
Right.
Like,
And at the
we're
end of the
guaranteeing
8 weeks, they're our
right?
friends. Right. At the end of the 8 weeks, like they can come over and sleep at my house or hang out or whatever. It's like,
Easy now, easy.
what I'm saying is we're creating real connections through these trainings.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's 8 weeks allows us to really get under the hood and diagnose.
Well, speaking of a pivot,
Yeah.
here's a great example of that. We started taking people through these 8-week boot camps, and we're just like, what else can we do for them? Right?
Right.
And you and I were just talking, and you're just like, hey, how about we just hop on Friday afternoon to a 30-minute where anybody that's been through a boot camp or is thinking about going through a boot camp can just hop on and ask us anything.
Right.
So we just hang out for 30 minutes on Friday. Like, what a weird thing to
Well,
do.
again, we're innovating, we're trying. We're like, hey, will our past customers want to hang out with us still, even though we haven't done a boot camp with them in a year? And guess what? They all started showing up, and so they had conversations, discussions, questions. And
Yeah.
this AMA, we might have to extend to an hour here based on some of the first feedback we're getting. So, anyways, to come back, we have three things that we said. The first
That's
thing we did,
training.
yes, one is training. The second thing that we're doing is consulting. So we're working mostly with OEMs who have digital embellishment technology, or some of them even don't want us to function on that, but they want to go to market. They want to bring new products out. They want to develop new products. They want to. So we've created a really strong methodology for helping our OEM customers on the consulting side. So that's the second thing, and the third thing, after spending all this time in the field with customers, doing these trainings, doing these boot camps, doing this consulting, we have started to identify that there are lots of gaps in the whole system that nobody is addressing. And these gaps are really holding back what we call mainstream adoption of digital embellishment technologies. And so what we've decided to do is, as you said, we partnered with our CTO, Carlo Ruiz, who has a long experience in the print industry, and he spun up a development team. So it's still a small development team. There's 6 developers plus him, so 7 people coding full time. And we decided to build out some of the software to plug the gaps that we were seeing. The first and most important gap that we were seeing was people was treating the sales and the pricing of embellishments like they were basically CMYK. And so they were leaving a lot of money on the table. They weren't taking into account perceived value. They weren't taking into account all kinds of different, let's say, variables that are very key to understanding what that person is willing to pay for. And so we built a software called Taktify that essentially quantifies in live time what the perceived value of something will be embellished. So that being said, we're putting a number to what people are willing to pay for it. If I'm selling a brochure with holographic foil in June to a luxury hotel in Beverly Hills, that price will be slightly different or sometimes significantly different depending on what our data is showing than if I were to do the same thing for maybe a plumber here in Melbourne, Florida. So there's a lot of different things that might change your industry vertical, your zip codes, your local economics, and how that affects what you're willing to pay for something. So the whole idea is stop giving this away, understand what the market is willing to pay for it, and use Taktify. Like some people say, oh, it's an estimator. I could do that on a spreadsheet, or I can say, yeah, you could do that on a spreadsheet. But
But how? How are you arriving at that end price?
Right. The spreadsheet's not going to be able to basically act as a Kelly Blue Book in live time and tell you, okay, well, this job actually happens to be a very hot job on a very, very low available type of foil. So the perceived value is higher. You should be charging a little bit higher this month than last month based on these things. So it's giving you that data. And basically, What you're really paying for, and it's $250 a month, you're basically paying for, yes, it's estimating, and yes, it's teaching you, and yes, you're teaching it, and it is, you have your own model that's encrypted just to you, but the whole thing is you're really getting that data back to inform your sales teams on what they should be charging. So that's the first thing that
We
came
should,
up.
we should, I just thought of something. We should
Yep.
call it value generating, not estimating.
Right, right. It's value generation. We're trying to tell people what market bearable cost is. So we're getting them to switch from a cost plus model to a value model, which is basically what the market can bear. And if you have one of these machines on every street corner, that model doesn't work. But because there's such a scarcity of supply, that model totally works because not everybody has a Scodix, or not everybody has a jet varnish, or not everybody has an Acurio shine, or a Duplo, or a fifth and sixth color, Xerox, or Fuji, or Sharp. So it's really interesting to see the reaction of the market to this, and so
We're
we're
in the
really.
value era, baby. The value era.
Well, that's right. So the value era. And then we have a lot of other stuff. We have a great partnership with our friends from Xerox that we actually showed one of the first prototypes of a software that we're co-developing that uses AI to instantly create masks for you. So the idea behind this, and we're calling it Project Atlas. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for saying that, but the whole idea behind Project Atlas, are you ready for this? Is to make it so that my 10-year-old, or he's going to be 10 next month, can design for embellishments. So that my mom, who doesn't know what Photoshop is, can design for embellishments. And that's what we think is one of the major things holding back the market is you need somebody with a high level of design understanding of InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator to be able to design for this. And Eric, today our idea is like, let's break those shackles. Let's make the designing for this stuff as easy as possible to as many people as possible. And that, I think, should open up the market. Should decant.
I mean, the feedback that we got. I mean, if you're at Amplify, you got to see on screen Steve Dianetti with Xerox and Kevin primarily with Taktiful at the Xerox stand demoing this thing. And it's, I mean, you can manipulate on the screen
Right.
your design and then add embellishments to it and then output a print ready PDF. Like, it's where this thing is going is bonkers. And we always talk about that artificial funnel of the number of designers that are really good at designing for embellishment, 3 to 4,000, we think, because there's a lot into it, right? You got all the layers, and you got to make sure the layers work right, and you got to understand the production of digital embellishment. Well, with a tool like this, you don't really have to understand anything but what you see on the screen and what you like,
100%.
and then output that. Imagine what that could do for the entire industry if we can democratize this whole thing. And I think that's what that project is about, and it's super cool to see happen.
I couldn't agree more. So yeah, lots of fun stuff going on. We have some pre-visualization projects that we're working on. We've got some other really interesting projects in R&D that we can't talk about. But
Secret.
yeah,
We can't talk about it. Don't talk about it.
Brown can't talk about
Vaguely describe it.
it. I can't even vaguely describe it because then I'm talking about it. But we have some really interesting stuff in the pipe for the next 3-4 years worth of development. So it's going to be kind of fun to see, how. And I don't think a lot of people are doing this, Eric. We're mixing the in the field consulting with software development and continuously.
And training, as we're training, we're listening, by the way, right?
So I mean, we're constantly it's like our ear is not on the ground, it's in the ground. Like we are really in the trenches every single day. And not like once a week. We're every single day we're in the trenches and we're learning and we're thinking and we're talking and we're innovating, and that's how we develop, which I think is one of the coolest ways that a company can develop new products is by doing it this way. So I've never seen it done, but I love it.
It's a lot of fun. I just had a flashback. You said in the ground, and I just had a flashback to our horrible cicada issue we had in Kentucky. We had the largest, what are they called?
Cicadas?
Not cohort. No, but when they come, like it's a shit ton of cicadas, whatever the word is for that. Like they just stopped making noise here in Kentucky, and it was like 6 weeks of deafening noise, and it was one of the largest that has ever largest brood that's ever come out of the ground after 17 years, and I can't wait for them to be gone for 17 more years. So
That's funny. So it's like biblical stuff there, right? That's
it was kind of nuts. It was kind of crazy. So I always ask this: what's the best piece of advice from a business perspective that you've ever gotten? Like, is there a core thing that you adhere to, and maybe you heard it from someone, maybe you read it? Like, what is really core to your guiding Taktiful as the CEO?
I think the we kind of talked about a couple of them up front. Is fail fast, iterate, I think is one of the most important things. I think have fun is, if you're not, I can't wait to get in this chair every day, Eric. Like, I've never worked so hard in my life, so long, like weekends, vacations. I don't remember the last time, I had either.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Monday to pop up because then I get to talk to other people about all this cool stuff that we're doing. So try to find passion, like tap into that passion. That passion will drive you through all the rough stuff. I think if you're able to hold on to that passion, find something that you love. Look, there's no secret to success. The secret to success is don't give up. Like it's
Ooh,
that
that's cool.
simple. Like you just keep your head down, keep moving, just one foot in front of the other. Especially as a startup, don't give up. Don't you can pivot, but don't give up. And I think finding something that you're passionate about really allows you to kind of like break through those tough days or those tough weeks or those tough months where you have to.
Well, if you start at the core of having passion and being passionate, and I think we both have evolved a passion specifically for the industry, right? Yours growing up in it. Mine was kind of like a stepfather situation. Like I was with the industry for so long, I just sort of adopted it and love it.
Right, right,
Like there's that passion there. But like again, what did I tell you when you asked me about working with you at Taktiful? I'm just
right.
like, I'll keep doing it as long as I'm having fun. If I'm not having fun, I quit.
That's
And
right.
that sounds like trite or whatever, but for me it's real. Like I'll go find something that is fun. But I will tell you this, and everybody that has hung out around us in the past year knows that we're having fun and it rubs off, and I think we bring a lot of energy, and a lot of it is your leadership, just having the vision to see these gaps and ways that they could be filled. But then also I want to commend you, not because you're my boss or anything, because those aren't really words that we throw around. You have a skill of like, you have a people skill. Like you have a skill of like identifying people and getting close to them and helping them and them helping you. And it's just it's so cool to see. It's like how I want business to work. I don't enjoy the environment of like angling and politics. You have to deal with that sometimes. But if you can have a group of people around you that all have the shared vision and the shared goal,
Yeah.
and dude, you've done that at Tactful, and it comes across to everyone watching. If call me a liar, guys, if you're watching this and you don't think that this is true. But I
Right.
just want to.
Well, and I thank you, and I don't want you to sell yourself short, Eric. Since you've joined us, and was it 9, 10 months ago, you've really put us in a totally different strata of air. We're definitely in a different stratosphere. So, a big thanks to you and all the lessons that you continuously bring, and not just from a business standpoint, from a friendship standpoint, as somebody who was in the chair at What They Think and being able to give me so much advice and understanding. I can't tell you how valuable your friendship and mentorship has been to me personally in this past 9, 10 months. It's been thrilling, and I'm having a lot of fun working with you.
I got to cue the violin music now. The little the happy slash sad romantic music playing in the background of us is like, it's so nice. So real quick before we cut off, and I know these run long, and it's easy for us. We've already gone 30 minutes. What's next? What's next? Like actually, what's next? And then from a vision standpoint, what's next for Tech?
Well, for right now, we're focusing on the Taktify launch. So, right now, if you have digital embellishment, specifically inkjet, please give us a call. We really think that Taktify can help you make more money on every job. We're about to launch the beta for Reactor, which is our 3D visualization software of embellishments.
Super cool.
We're going to be moving forward with the Xerox partnership and the Atlas, so that's going to be fun to watch. We keep our eye on the prize and a couple of different things coming up. But I think the next big stop for us is going to be in a couple of weeks. We're going to be in Boston for an event at the Museum of Print. So we're going to see your buddy Frank
Can't wait.
and our partner there, HPG and the AIGA. And then the big ones are going to be Printing United. So Printing United is very few. Do you want to talk about some of the stuff we're doing at Printing United, or is it top secret?
I don't think it's top secret. I mean, we could tease a little bit. Like, we're going to do some really cool stuff. I mean, we're planning on having some demos of some actual output with some of our partners. We've got a little bit of a bigger booth this time. We're going 10 by 20 versus 10 by 10. So we'll have a little more space. We're going to do a lot of content leading up to the show. We've talked to the folks at Printing United Alliance. about doing that. And we're also, I think we're going to try to pull off some scheduled tours where the Taktiful team or members of the Taktiful team will lead people around the show to see some cool digital embellishment stuff.
Yep.
That's kind of our plan, but we're also going to, at our booth, we're going to be demoing software. We'll probably be temporary tattooing people. We'll be flying stickers all over the place. I mean, we're going to be doing some fun stuff, probably stuff we haven't even thought of because it's a while until October.
Yep.
But we can't wait to see everybody there and kind of see where we're at from that perspective. Man, it's just been so much fun. And thanks for being on it feels weird. It's like, thanks for being on the shows. Like, why? Like, you guys talk, right? Every day. How did that not come up? Like, we actually talk about a lot of other stuff, and we're always trying to get different voices on. But I'm really glad that I finally got you to talk, to give the people the foundation of what Taktiful is all about. Taktiful software solutions, tactical, our office hours consulting, our boot camps. Like, we're just doing a lot of stuff. And I think it all has that core mission of let's make digital embellishment a successful thing for every printer that wants to do it, and every printer should. Let's that rising tide for all the boats type thing, and let's democratize this thing and really make it accessible to more consumers on breaking down the barriers and making it easy, I think, is what we're all about.
Let's go. That's exactly it.
Thanks for being on the show. Let's go, Kevin Abergel.
Congratulations on number 27, buddy. I can't believe you got 27 in already, but I'm happy to be on number 27
every week except for some.
Yeah,
I guess I have to say no. Thanks for being on the show, brother.
See you, man.
Later.